Howdy, 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 my name is Anashi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki, and boy, were there supposed to be more of these in the month of March than there have been. But things came up that have nothing to do with this video, and that's why there weren't more videos this month so far. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the two videos that should have happened a couple of weeks ago today, so that next week the SCP videos will be back on track, and then I'm going to try to get the comics back on track. Don't quote me on it, because the last time I set out a roadmap for what I was going to do, none of it happened. So, we'll see. Now, in this episode, we're going to be doing The Building on the Square, The Final Countdown, The Tunnel of Infinite Possibility, A Short Poem, and Mr. Chameleon. Because like I said, it looks like the next few episodes are going to have a lot of the little misters in them, if that's what these are. So, let's open the link, and then I'll get mad about the ad that pops up over here. And then I'll start reading. So, you want to... Okay, there it is. Get out of here. So, it's 901 is Euclid. The location and nature of SCP-901 poses difficulties for containment. All the doors, windows, and any other features which may appear to an observer to be possible entrances are to be sealed. 901 is to be surrounded by a 4.5 meter chain link fence topped with razor wire and wooden construction hoardings. I don't know what that means. On the outer perimeter of the fence to give the appearance of a defunct facility. The two Foundation agents in local blank police uniform are to be positioned at the entrance to 901 at all times, with 4 more agents in plain clothes discreetly patrolling the perimeter of 901. I held up 4 fingers, but I'm not using my webcam, so I don't know who I was holding them up for. Under no circumstances should personnel enter except during control testing conditions. Description: SCP-901 is a 4-story building constructed in the neoclassical style situated at 10 blank square blank blank, coordinates redacted. It is L-shaped like a Tetris block and takes up a footprint of approximately 150 square meters. Information on its history have been difficult to obtain, or I guess it's information has, not history have, I don't know. Questioning of the local population suggests that it has existed since 1947 at the earliest, but no records of its builders or subsequent usage have been found. It is not possible to enter through any method other than through the main entrance. I don't know why I thought it was going to say through the window, or the wall. Which consists of a large mahogany double door of dimensions 5.2 times 5.4, I read that out of order, 4.5 meters, from here on designated 1. One opens onto a large main hall which appears to be empty when viewed from the outside. The windows, although covered with a thick coating of dirt, also show all the rooms of 901 are empty. However, observers have on rare occasions reported movement, shadowy figures, and in one case, data expunged through the windows. So far, none of these phenomena have been captured by recording devices, of course not. When an individual enters 901, one will close and be unable to be opened from the outside by currently tested means for a period of time ranging from 30 minutes to several months. Approximately 60% of those who enter will not emerge and are considered for the purposes of Foundation status and record keeping to be neutralized. Why don't they just boot 682 into there then? In these cases, one will simply be able to be opened once more without any visible changes. Regular testing of one is therefore necessary to determine when its time of locking has passed. When one is sealed, electronic recording or transmission devices within 901 malfunction. The remainder of the individuals who enter eventually exit the structure, all again through 1, and the main effects of 901 have been determined through verbal reports from these subjects. When a subject enters 901, it takes on the appearance of a fully staffed institution, rather than an empty building. The nature of the institution varies between subjects, but is usually a security or law enforcement facility with the features of a parent authority or of particular anathema to the subject, although subjects are unwilling or unable to describe definite identifying marks. Notable resemblances include the SS Geheim Staatspolizei, the Soviet Committee for State Security, the police force of the subject's home nation, or data expunged. In one notable case, D-1955, formerly Foundation researcher Dr. Blank, who had been demoted to D-class due to breaches of protocol involving assignment to 231, entered 901 and data redacted by order of 05. I believe that 231 is the child with the demon in her belly. Yep. Let's get out of there. The internal architecture of 901 seems to be unchanged. It is unknown whether the effects of 901 manifest in reality or are the product of hallucinations caused by psychological effects of the SCP. Upon entering 901, the subject is confronted by one or more personnel in the employ of said authority who proceed to restrain the subject and escort them to another sector of 901, where the subject will be interrogated by a figure of relatively high rank in the organization, designated 2. Unlike the other figures populating 901, 2 appears to be a consistent feature during all subjects' experiences of 901. Although SCP-901-2's ethnicity, facial features, and clothing vary to fit the characteristics of the organization occupying 901, subjects have consistently described 2 as a man of 1.6 to 1.95 meters in height, of average build with a calm or level voice. Due to the psychological effects of 901, more in-depth subject observations on 2 are considered unreliable. 2 will interrogate the subject on a particular act or acts by the subject against the laws of 901's occupying authority. This does not appear to correspond to any actions the subject has performed, and indeed may be physically impossible for the subject in question. The personnel occupying 901 will then attempt to extract a confession from the subject. The nature of this process is highly variable between subjects, but may be physical or psychological, and will match the nature of the organization occupying 901 to some extent. Due to the variable effects of these procedures on the subject, details have been difficult to acquire and are considered to be of dubious quality, but indicated examples include physical assault, use of specialized devices designed to cause physical stress, sensory deprivation, that fourth one, threats against associates of the subject, and use of data expunged. The subject will then emerge from 901 after a period of time consistent with observation. Let's see. Of particular note are 901 similarities to other law enforcement-based SCPs such as 1002 and 2701. We'll get there soon. If I get better about my timing, we'll get there soon. In all cases, subjects who survive the effects of 901 will suffer severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Subjects who will also experience hallucinations and paranoid delusions, especially related to being under constant threat or observation by the organization encountered within 901. The subjects often develop a condition similar to Stockholm Syndrome, manifesting in a reluctance to criticize the organization in question and justification of its actions. The psychological effects of 901 appear to be poorly treated by time or medical therapy, and in some cases may increase to such a point that data expunged. Addendum 1. In the light of Incident 1, personnel are forbidden from damaging or otherwise interfering with 901 in any way except under controlled testing conditions. Incident 1 synopsis. Dr. Blank suggested physically bracing 1 to prevent it from closing whilst an individual entered the structure, allowing observation of said individual's behavior. This was approved and appropriate personnel and apparatus were assembled. As Agents Blank and Blank began to install the apparatus, they abruptly halted after 3 minutes and, judging from their dialogue, appeared to notice a large group of armed hostiles standing inside 901. Agent Blank protested that they had been ordered by the local district data expunged to carry out repairs on 901, which he referred to as data expunged. It should be noted that no local data expunge had ever existed, and it had not been deemed necessary to prepare a cover story for the operation. Agent Blank appeared to argue with the group of hostiles, who remained inaudible and invisible to observers, until both agents became visibly distressed and subsequently began to disassemble the bracing apparatus. Agent Blank was sent to retrieve his colleagues with force if necessary, but upon approaching 1, dropped his sidearm and raised his hands in the air. Further personnel sent to interfere in the situation met with similar effects. Once all equipment had been cleared from 1, all agents experiencing abnormal psychological effects entered 901 and 1 closed as normal. 1 was sealed for a normal period of 23 days and none of the subjects re-emerged. Addendum 2. Dr. Major's communique to higher command 05 eyes only. They didn't even put it into a secure Dropbox. They just said 05 eyes only, but it's right here, it's fine. SCP-901 holds a great deal of potential to the Foundation as a means of controlling unruly humanoid SCPs, disposable dudes, or others. However, I suspect there may be some bias in our testing procedure since they're all D-classes, and we naturally expect the ideal D-class to be submissive. Perhaps the high rates of death and trauma are due to this? It would therefore be of interest to see the effect of this SCP on individuals conditioned to resist psychological and physical stress. As Foundation agents and other personnel fit this category well, I propose we recruit volunteers from the ranks of these personnel or draft them if necessary to test 901. Dr. Major. Is their name Dr. Major, or are they a Dr. Major? We'll never know. Or maybe we'll find out some other time. The final countdown! It's a box and it's Keter. I was honestly kind of hoping it was going to be an SCP related to the song, but I rarely get what I want in this place. Nobody gets what they want. Oh, hey, the rainbow's back. Has it already been a year since the last time that happened? Has it already been a year? Huh. SCP-902 has been relegated to Arctic Base Theta 12, the only SCP to be contained at this site. The site is to be staffed by a team of 50 security personnel. At this time, no research is to be done on 902. Knowledge of 902 beyond its number is to be limited to level 3 staff and lower. It is imperative that only a limited number of senior staff know of the existence of 902. Only 105 is allowed to know about 902 at any time. In the event that a security breach from inside Arctic Base Theta 12 of a security breach, the on-site hydrogen bomb is to be detonated remotely. Why hydrogen? Why hydrogen? 902 must be guarded at all times against premature destruction. SCP-902 is a box roughly the size of an adult human head. That's specific. It measures 30 by 15 by 19 centimeters. It appears to be an ammunition box of a type used roughly 30 years ago, despite this item having been in Foundation custody for roughly 60 years. It is made of lead. The composition of the item inside is unknown. It emits what has been described as a ticking sound, and anyone who hears this sound becomes convinced that the item is counting down. When opened, the box appears empty, however the ticking remains, the object continues counting down. Anyone who becomes aware of 902, whether through a personal interaction or by reading this report, becomes convinced that whatever is in the box is horribly dangerous and needs to be destroyed as soon as it finishes counting down and not before. Staff exposed to 902 will typically continue to attempt to open and then close the box, trying to find the object inside. There is no object. There is an object. It has to be destroyed when the countdown stops. We're doing great work. We have to be stopped. Okay. So was it Keter? I can only assume that the reason the box is Keter is not because the box is actually dangerous, but because its effect makes them think it's dangerous enough that they might need to set off a hydrogen bomb. Because if all it does is make you think it's ticking, and it's not actually doing anything else, but then you set off a hydrogen bomb because you think it did, that's pretty dangerous. So I guess I could understand why this box is Keter. I don't know why they don't just, like, chuck it into the ocean or something. But, you know, I'm not the SCP Foundation. I would have just chucked it into the ocean. The tunnel of infinite possibility. Half expected it to also be Keter, but instead it just looks like a concrete version of the opening to Doctor Who. There's that ZZZ quill again. Is it not NyQuil anymore? Did NyQuil become something else, or is that just stronger than NyQuil? And NyQuil helps you sleep and Z-Quil makes you coma? I don't know. SCP-903 is Euclid again. Access to either side of it is to be restricted to authorized research personnel only. The entrances must be sealed and kept under surveillance at all times. During testing, under no circumstances are personnel to enter or attempt to cross it. Any persons attempting unauthorized entry will be subject to lethal force. Any test subject or item that has passed through or emerges from 903 must be immediately destroyed once testing is concluded. The infinite possibilities aren't just talking about its length, are they? 903 is an incomplete Site-19 utility tunnel that connects to the SCP containment wing within the Lambda laboratory wing. The tunnel is 3 meters in diameter, 50 meters long, and buried approximately 5 meters underground. Because of its incomplete nature, it is an empty concrete tunnel that contains no piping, wiring, or other utility equipment. It also contains an old rail system that consists of a single monorail that spans the entire length of 903. How long is this? It says 50 meters long. I guess that's 150 feet, but does that really need a whole monorail for that? I don't think it does. 903 was originally used as a discreet and secure method of transporting SCPs from the containment wing directly to Lambda Laboratory Wing. However, this practice was discontinued shortly after Incident 1, where the presiding personnel violated standard operating procedure and transported several SCPs at once rather than one at a time. The resulting incident is most likely what caused 903 to obtain its current anomalous properties. Okay, I need to know how long that actually is, because I know that a meter is 36 inches. So how much is that? That's 1,800 inches divided by 12. It's just straight up 150 feet. Okay, I guessed that on the mark. I should not have been able to just guess that on the mark like that. But, anyway. At first glance, 903's most obvious feature is the fact that the entire tunnel is completely visible, despite the lack of any internal lighting. The lighting appears to be emanating from the white line of paint spiraling across the tunnel walls. It is unclear how this phenomenon works. The monorail system still functions as normal. However, if an item or organism is placed inside the monorail car and sent through 903, the monorail will suddenly and inexplicably stop in the middle of the tunnel. The anomalous illumination will then activate, reducing visibility inside 903 to 0. Attempts to use external lighting or image enhancement technology such as infrared or night vision equipment have proven ineffective in observing 903 during this state. After approximately 15 seconds, the anomalous illumination and the monorail cart will reactivate, and the cart will continue on its path like normal. However, the item or organism that was previously placed inside the cart will be missing with no trace. After an indeterminate amount of time, 903 will activate the monorail cart on its own. Once the cart reaches the center of 903, the illumination will shut down for 15 seconds, similar to a deliberate activation. When it reactivates, the monorail cart will contain a new item designated X, and in most cases, an elaborately handwritten note. The instances of X903 generates are all universally anomalous in nature, and each instant possesses different anomalous properties. However, each instance's properties seem to consistently match properties of SCP that had been previously transported through 903 prior to Incident 1. A full listing of SCPs transported through 903, please send an official request to the current site administrator. Once the instances of X are removed from 903, they will deteriorate and lose their anomalous properties after approximately 2 hours, assuming they weren't already destroyed beforehand. The handwritten notes included with the instances of X suggest that 903 is somehow connected with a sapient entity capable of manufacturing instances of X. Attempts to trace the source of the notes based on composition of the ink and paper, as well as handwriting analysis, have so far failed to produce any results. However, the handwritten notes are not anomalous and do not deteriorate like instances of X. So, hold on. Addendum, after 4 years of containment and testing, as well as cataloging all instances of X produced, 903 reactivates and produces only a single handwritten note. Even the greatest minds can lose their inspiration. Can you please help an artist in desperation? Okay, so 1. A pineapple that autonomously launches itself at any individual that makes a subjectively bad joke. I thought the tomatoes were such a hoot, so I thought I'd give it a try with a different fruit. 5. A shard of obsidian carved into a humanoid shape. Whenever an individual cuts themselves on its edge, 5 morphs into a perfect image of that individual. For the price of a little pain, you'll have a little buddy to keep you sane. A bronze key that weighs 90 tons. With this, you can open any door if you have the strength to get it off the floor. A pack of Blue Lady brand cigarettes with a picture of a blue-haired female with one eye. Anyone who smokes one of the cigarettes is temporarily afflicted with a condition where they are convinced a one-eyed woman is staring at them. Take a puff if you dare, if you can withstand her unbreakable stare. All other instances are omitted. For a full list, please file a request to Dr. Ryan. And next up is a short poem. I guess it's probably longer than the poems we got from that other thing. SCP-904. Okay, hold on. Staples. SCP-904 should be inscribed on an ordinary sheet of paper, typing paper, when not in active observation or study. This paper should be secured in a secure, locked, non-combination vault, and stored out of range of any recording devices. 904 should only be handled or directly viewed by disposable personnel without backgrounds in literature, writing, or art. So, if the SCP Foundation is real and they come after me for this series eventually, at least I will never have to deal with this SCP. Any personnel viewing 904 experiencing hallucinations or suicidal thoughts should be removed immediately from the situation. SCP-904 was discovered scratched on a bathroom wall in the literature department of Blank University after reports of unusual behavior and difficulty speaking in approximately 300 students and staff. Mobile Task Force Eta-10 See No Evil was sent to contain it after its viral nature was realized, and although all 3 disposable personnel involved in its transport were infected by visual contact, it was transported to Site Blank without incident. SCP-904 presents a slight memetic hazard to all who read it, but it is only harmful to those with a specific creative type mindset. An infected individual can infect other individuals. Symptoms include the tendency to use end rhymes uncontrollably in all speech. Reading 904 multiple times, or being very close to it after reading it once, will result in the development of a more refined poetic form, containing iambic pentameter, a more complicated poetic form, or more fitting rhymes. The infection is not permanent. Some individuals will remain infected for up to 24 hours, while others will shake off the infection within 10 minutes. Typically, infections caught from other individuals will be shorter in duration than infections from the source. However, some individuals, mostly those with backgrounds in poetry and the arts, are more adversely affected by the infection. These individuals have a more difficult time losing the infection. In rare cases, it will not subside, but will induce hallucinations regarding being trapped in cages, coffins, or otherwise, a state of extreme depression, and the feeling that they are unable to express their thoughts or that their body is not theirs anymore, or that they are being possessed. Often the subject will choose to self-terminate. Researchers should use discretion when choosing who will view 904. Addendum 1. A Class D personnel was exposed to 904 and successfully infected. When asked to use a sentence ending in the word knife, a word with no rhymes in the English language, data expunged. It should be noted that while infected individuals don't casually choose to use non-rhyming words, they are able to, and the consequences may be deadly. At the request of the cleaning crews assigned to clean up the blood, researchers are strongly discouraged from similar experiments. So, I didn't know that nothing rhymes with knife. I've never thought about it. I would have thought they'd have gone with orange. Or maybe see if they tried to force forage to rhyme with orange so that they don't, whatever happened here, it sounds like they probably exploded like that guy from Scanners. Addendum 2. If this ever breaks containment, we're going to be facing a disaster, suicidal poets or not. Dr. Blank. And Mr. Chameleon. Okay. 905 posing in front of a white backdrop turned to a red hue. It looks like a person wearing a morph suit. Alright, so it is one of the little misters. And I believe those are Dr. Wondertainment, so I guess I should use the Dr. Wondertainment boys. SCP-905 is to be contained in a 6x6 x 3 meter containment cell painted matte black. This cell is to be devoid of any mirrors or windows. 2 LED arrays are to be installed in cells housing 905. Every 4 hours it is to be fed for 20 minutes. As of current regulation on misters, 905 is to be contained in Hall Blank of Site Blank. SCP-905 is a sentient entity composed of photons. These photons form a humanoid shape that has been described as fuzzy, but definite. It is roughly 1.75 meters tall. However, its mass is immeasurable. 905 has shown the ability to speak through the manipulation of air particles, but its mechanism to perform this is unknown. SCP-905 is capable of the same movement as a human male of the same body structure, but due to its photonic nature, it is unable to manipulate solid objects aside from emitting weak electromagnetic radiation. Solids such as doors must be moved for 905 before it can leave or enter a room. It has the ability to pass through windows and other transparent objects. The photons 905 is composed of follow the usual laws of probability in this case, and will reflect back from the transparent object at a rate of approximately 5%, separating any reflected photon from 905's influence. They describe this as painful but bearable. SCP-905 sheds its photons at a constant rate of approximately 0.001% of its body volume per second. These photons are emitted at a wavelength of approximately 308 that to 780 that. I said that wrong, it's too late now. Or within the human spectrum of visible light. 905 shows the ability to change the wavelengths emitted to match its background. The lack of a shadow can make detecting 905 while hidden problematic. SCP-905 shows an inability to absorb colored lights. Due to the constant loss of photons, must be fed regularly in order to maintain a healthy body volume. Conversely, feeding 905 too large an amount of photons causes them to experience an oversaturation. 905 finds this extremely painful and describes it in a similar manner to human burns. Placing a mirror near 905 in an attempt to feed 905 its own emissions results in 905 expressing extreme discomfort. When questioned, 905 replied, "Would you enjoy eating your own expletive redacted?" SCP-905 was discovered at the data expunge entrance of Site Blank. Addendum 1. The words Mr. Chameleon from Little Misters, all rights reserved by Dr. Wondertainment, are printed on SCP's left calf. 905 shows an inability to change the wavelength emitted by this print. This designation appears as 1 in document 909A. Dr. Wondertainment. Wait, so does that mean that SCP-909 is going to just be things about more of the little misters? Let's see now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna have like 4 straight episodes that have at least one little mister in them. But that's the end of this one. So, if you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. I've realized that the last few videos I've done, I forgot to do the whole "this has been an Anashi Sasuke" thing, but I do say it at the beginning of the video, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But, thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!